Have you ever seen a classroom incentive system that seems really great at the time, looks really fun, only to find out that it's very complicated, it's expensive, and it just kind of peters out over the school year? Hi, my name is Patricia Barrientes, and I'm just about to start my 10th year in elementary education. I'd like to share with you the reward systems that I use in my class every day to help the students stay motivated and engaged all year round. The best part is they're mostly free. My hope is that I can give teachers ideas that will help them balance their home life and school life and stop donating so much time for free and instead make this job the really good job that it can be that works with the rest of your life. I have quite a few reward systems that I use every day in class to help my students stay motivated, and they're at different levels. I have two that are at the individual student level. I have one that's more like a team, and then my school does one that's more like a classroom. I hope you'll find them helpful. So let's find out about some reward systems that you can use in your classroom. I have two reward systems that are individual for the kids. For one of the systems that I use Dojo Points for Class Dojo. A lot of you have heard of that website before. I tried it before and I felt like it was more problems than it was worse. So stick with me if you think, I don't know if I want to use it. What I did is I made it so that I only reward positive points. I never take any away. I also never owe student points. I reward points for a very specific purpose. In another video, I explained how I use a homework folder and I have students and parents sign off every night that a student does some homework and some reading. I only give out Class Dojo points for that. It has to be in the folder and I never owe them any points. They never lose them. As soon as I see that the parent has filled something out, then I go ahead and I award the points. So that way I'm never caught walking down the hall saying, oh, let me give you a point. Or I never have a student saying, you told me you would give me some points. As they accumulate them in Class Dojo, every now and then, about every 2 weeks, a little bit more often towards the end of the year because I need to keep them motivated, and maybe not so much at the beginning because they're trying to accumulate points, I will let the students sign up for free time. And I do this first thing in the morning. As they first walk in, it's there on the board waiting for them. And that way it doesn't take up a bunch of my time. I have their dojo points displayed and they can choose to do anything from 5 to 15 minutes. If they don't have enough points, it's fine because I have something on the other side of the board that they can also sign up for that's absolutely free and still interesting, but not quite as much freedom as having free time. Since the parents are connected on Class Dojo, they can see that the student got to claim or redeem 5 to 15 minutes. So that's nice because it kind of reiterates to the parents and gives them some incentive to make sure that they keep doing the homework folder. That first time or the second time, I will actually walk around the room and record on Class Dojo what the kids have chosen to do for their free time. And that goes to all of the parents because they're connected in Class Dojo. So if they hadn't been filling out that homework folder, they see, oh no, now I realize why I should be filling that out. Usually this is the time that a parent will email me and say, hey, my son or daughter has been doing this and we just forgot to write it down. And that is how I talked about in another video. That is when I reiterate that they just need to fill it out in the homework folder, that they'll never lose a point. And so I will go back and I will fill in those points later. And I always stick to my guns on that. I never give out points just because a parent said so. Sometimes with the dojo points, it's interesting because since they have a choice of something free and something that costs dojo points, sometimes they'll just choose to do the free thing because it's interesting enough and different than usual. So they'll do that and then they'll just save up a ton of points. Another individual reward system I have is called Scholar Dollars, and it's just classroom money the first week of school, those first couple of days that the kids are there before we really start rolling. I have a little contest, and it's just a little piece of paper that has boxes for them to draw a couple options on what they think our classroom money ought to look like. And then we have just a little contest. If they want to enter that contest, they can. And we pick 6 different images that we want to have on the classroom money, and I pick 6 simply because that's what fits on a sheet of paper sideways. And then I print out all that money, and I make sure I have enough money that about a third of the class can have $25 or less. And so that way I don't have a ton of copies that I have to make. The kids help me cut them out, and we have a little bit of this supply and demand setup, because if students kind of hoard the money and don't cash it in, which I'll explain in a minute, then we suddenly don't have any money for kids to collect on. So how do they get the class money? The main thing is in their homework folder, they can bring any papers that we do during the day. It doesn't matter if it's a worksheet, scratch paper, whatever it is, they take it home and they just get a little signature from the parent. And when they bring it back, it's in their folder, and me or an aide or someone just goes through and pays money for what they bring back. If I do have a kid who has lost it, maybe I have multiple kids who have lost it, and I have one kid who solves it by saying, "Can I have more copies?" I'll make a big fuss about it so that more people will kind of jump on that idea. The other thing that I give money out for sometimes is transitions or different situations in the classroom. Maybe there's a situation, especially at the beginning of the year, where the kids are kind of hesitant to answer. I will make a big deal out of people answering, and I might hand out money. But anyway, I try to find as many ways that I can hand out money without it being over the top. And I do set up the idea that it's up to me to decide how I'm going to reward it in class. I don't want them to think every time I do something I'm going to get paid, but I do want them to realize that they will often get paid if they do the things that are expected in class, or they're helpful, or whatever it is. So where is the payout with the money? Once they get $25, they can decide to cash it in for an opportunity to spin on the spin wheel. And here's a picture of what the spinning wheel looks like. I got this from IKEA probably 6 years ago or so it's more than paid for itself. That's why I say this is practically free. Once you buy a prize wheel, you can keep it for years and years. So you have the one time, it was $24. There are probably other ones in other places like Amazon. I have a friend who has one that she can dry erase marker on it. So just get a spinner wheel. They cash in $25, and there's a student that's their job to take the $25 and to count it, and then they spin it. I also have these coupons that they write down what they earned or what they won on the prize wheel. In the beginning, I used to just use scratch paper, just a little piece of scratch paper that was a specific color. I would just go and cut up paper. But over time, I decided to make a coupon that's pre-printed from the print shop. It wasn't very expensive at my school. And then the student who's in charge of this job for the day can just very quickly write it out. Plus, it's an official piece of paper, so I can tell if it was faked or not, because believe it or not, kids will fake that. And so I had someone just writing them up and then claiming them later. That happened for several years until I decided to do just the little piece of paper. And then I only hand out a handful at a time. They have to do it at afternoon recess. If they forget to do it at afternoon recess, or it's a Friday when we have short days, then they just have to wait till next time. They are responsible for the coupon. They have to keep it in their pencil box or some safe place. I tell them at the beginning, and I remind them many times, I will not replace one that gets lost. You are in charge of it. And that's part of my classroom environment, that people are responsible for the choices that they make, including losing your coupon. Here's a list of some of the different prizes that students could win. You'll notice these are privileges, not usually items. So usually it's things like free time, or number one is anyone you want. Have recess with a friend. It could be have a snack from home in class. It could be a sweet treat, which parents donate, so I don't spend money on that either. It could be lots of different things. The thing is, they don't have to spend it right away. They can hold on to it. Indoor recess with a friend, some people don't really like that, but boy, when it's a rainy, cold day, they might want to stay inside, so they can hold on to it as long as they want. The other fun thing about these coupons is I've had at least 2/3 of the years that I've been teaching and I've been doing this, there becomes a little barter system that happens. There are kids who get coupons that they don't like. They're not interested in them, but guess what? There's someone else who does. If they don't think about it on their own, I might just casually say, gosh, I wonder if there's someone else who would like this better than you. And then sometimes they just give them away, and nice. I had this one boy last year who just always gave his money away and his coupons and everything away, so he hardly ever used them. But then I have some people who start selling them, and they say, gosh, I don't want this, but maybe someone else will buy it from me, and then they would have replacement money. It just becomes a whole barter system. It's kind of cool, and it happens most of the time. I really like this system because it has a combination of hard work for the money, but then there's a sense of luck in it too, and I think it adds to the excitement. I also have a reward system for teams. I let my kids sometimes choose their seats. Sometimes I assign them depending on how the class is going. You can see this is how I set up my board. All it is thumbtacks and paper clips, and that's all there is. We decide as a class, in the beginning I do it, I decide where on that whiteboard, if you look at the line, where is it that the team has to get to? And when a team gets their clips down to that point, they get 15 minutes of free time. I try to do the reward very quickly after a team gets to that level, but usually it's just free time and the team gets to do it together and they're out in the hallway. We have a one-to-one with iPads, so generally they're doing Minecraft education, but they can really do whatever they want within reason for free time. This reward system is usually used for quick transitions. I will say something like, I am looking for the first 3 teams to be packed and ready to go home. I usually reward clips to 2 or 3 teams at a time so that there's not just one group that will win. Sometimes I'll give it to every team as they finish up. It just depends on the circumstances, and the great thing is I can do whatever I need to do. I'm not tied to any number of groups winning. I'm not tied to what exactly they have to do. It's in the moment. What do I need them to do? And can I motivate them to get it done more quickly and independently? Once one of the teams meets that line, all they have to do is right on the very tip. They win. I'll try to get them to get their free time as soon as possible, usually the next morning. What about everyone else? In the beginning, we just reset the board, and there's always a student volunteer who wants to get up there and move all the paper clips down so everyone starts out at 1. Sometimes there's a tie between 2 teams, and that happens a lot. And what I do is, if there was a tie and one of them got there first and it was super close, I will just ask the next team, do you want money, class money, or do you want a head start on the next round? And it just depends on what their goal is. Sometimes they want the money because a lot of them are close to $25. Sometimes they'd rather have a head start to the next round. But that is going on all the time in my class. Ideally for me as a teacher, I like to have a winner every 2 or 3 days. If it's too often, then it is too disruptive to the class. So I will secretly or purposefully put that line down a little bit lower for there to be a winner. The last thing is a whole class incentive. Now this is not my doing, this is from the school. We have a chart, and if it's completed with coins that my class gets from other teachers, not me, but other teachers, then they get a classroom party, and I make it super free. I don't do pizza parties or anything like that because it's just too expensive. I will usually have the kids come up with ideas on what we ought to do for our party. And I will even do something like this because I don't like owing them. I don't like having it in the back of the mind that I owe them a party. So I will say something like this if I need to get it over with, or I know I have something coming up. I will say, well, we could take a vote and we might get to a party, in the next week or so. Or if you want, right now, we could do 30 minutes of Minecraft education. And a lot of times they'll just go, yeah, let's do that. And the funny part is a lot of times whatever party they would have voted on includes Minecraft education. My grade is super funny too because they're just starting to mature a little bit. So in the beginning, I'll look for ideas. We will do a little vote, and a lot of times I'll have someone say something like a pizza party or something expensive, and that's when I go, well, I'm not going to spend a bunch of money on it because we'll do this lots of times during the year. And then they start listing these things, and it's so funny because it takes while before someone says, let's have a free time party where they can pick whatever they want to do. But so funny in the beginning because they'll do very specific things like everyone brings a stuffed animal, or let's watch a movie, or something like that. But the best one is when they just say, let's do 30 minutes of free time. So those are all of my incentives. Super easy, free. They're student motivating and student directed because they keep track of a lot of different things. They keep track of the clips. They reset the clips. They write up the coupons because it's someone's job. They keep track of their money and their coupons because I don't replace them. All of it is student oriented, but it's also mostly based on privileges. They love the idea that they have something special that they earn that they get to do. I hope those were helpful to you. And my hope is that I will encourage you to not donate time, but to make this job work for you and to get the most out of it so that you can put the most into it without sacrificing your own time and your own life and your family's time. Remember, you are plenty and it's okay to be an average teacher.